Hi everyone, welcome to our first lesson on weight. So we've been looking at measure in maths. Last week we were talking about length, how long something is and how tall something is, that's your height. And today we're going to be looking at the weight of something, so how heavy or light it is. They're the two words that I want you to be able to use by the end of this lesson, heavy and light. So first of all, I want to get us talking a little bit about our learning, because that is how we learn, often having conversations, asking questions. So I'm going to ask you a few questions and I want you to speak to your adult or whoever's doing this with you and see if you can have a little discussion about our learning that we've been doing. So last week we were looking at length and height. So I want you to have a little think about when we would need to measure the length of something or the height in real life. So we don't just do these things in maths just for the fun of it. It's to help you in real life situations. And measure is a really important one because we use that every single day without even realising it. So have a little think about things that you do in your everyday life and when mummy or daddy or you might have had to measure something, the length or height of something. We'll start with that one. So you can pause the video, have a little chat, and then I'm going to give you my example. So my example last week was I was trying to put a fence around my garden, doing lots of gardening like everybody is at the moment, and I had to measure the length of fence that I needed to buy, because if I just guessed and I bought way too much, I would waste my money and have loads left over, and if I didn't measure, then I wouldn't buy enough, and I wouldn't have my lovely fence. So I didn't have a tape measure or anything like that. I had to just use my feet, and luckily I was pretty spot on and we got it sorted. But that's an example last week of when I needed to be able to measure something. And at the moment we are having a sunflower growing competition with Tilly and Lottie, and we've planted our sunflowers and we're going to measure the height of them as they grow over the summer, so we can see who has the tallest sunflower. And it's the same in your family. You might measure each other, because I know a lot of families throughout the years, they on the doors or they have special charts where they measure how tall the boys and girls are, and you can see how much you've grown over the years. So there is some really good examples, and I'd love to hear some that you have of when we would measure height or length in our everyday lives. So today we are looking at weight. When would we need to measure the weight of something? Have a little think. So my example is one that I'm sure you're all doing lots of at the moment, and it is when we are cooking or baking. So we need to measure the weight of the ingredients, because we follow what we call a recipe, and it gives you a little number of how much of an ingredient you need to put in, and it's really important you measure it exact, otherwise the recipe doesn't quite go to plan. We've all experienced that. So we use what we call scales. Now this is just one type of scales, and these are called digital scales. Just like we learnt about digital time, we have digital numbers that come up at the bottom, and I'm sure you've all got some of these at home you can have a look at. So you press the 0 button, you put your item on top, and it tells you straight away how much it weighs. And usually these scales we look at in grams. That is one way of measuring. We call it a standardised way of measuring, and we use that in recipes. So that's one type of scales. Another one I've got, these are the big ones, they go in the bathroom, and these we use for weighing ourselves. So Mrs. Macaulay hasn't been on them for a while, I'm not going to lie. Try to avoid them, but if you want to check that you haven't eaten too many cakes over the last few weeks, then you might get on the scales and you can see how much your body weighs. And we've used them quite a lot with the babies, because they need to check that the babies are growing, and the best way to do that is to weigh the babies every week to make sure that they're putting on weight and drinking their milk and everything. So we've actually used them a lot for the girls. Another type of scale that we would use is what we call a pan balance scale. It's where, I haven't got one in the house, but it's where you have two pans, not like a cooking pan, just like a little plate kind of, and you put items on each side, and you can see the lightest one goes to the top and the heaviest sinks down to the bottom. And if they weigh the same, then it balances in the middle. So they are equal. So we're going to have a little look at that tomorrow, but unfortunately I don't have a set in my house. So if you do, that's fantastic. See if you can send me a picture, that'd be brilliant. If not, don't worry, we're going to look at that tomorrow. So your task today, I'm going to do it for you, and then I want you to have a little go in your house. So Mrs. Macaulay has been shopping, and I have got a shopping bag here full of different items, just items from around the house, a random selection, and I'm going to try and feel the weight of the objects, because that is one of the best ways of testing the weight of something. You don't carry scales around with you, so if you're trying to kind of estimate which object is heavier, the best way is to feel it, because it's a lot harder to pick something up that is heavy. We've all picked up a heavy rock or branch, and it really hurts your muscles if you're trying to heave it. And light things are really easy to pick up. So we're going to just use our bodies to test out which one we think is heavier. We're going to sort them into a pile of heavy and a pile of light. I've got two, if I move out the way here, two pieces of card for heavy and light, and I'm going to sort them. So don't be fooled that the big objects always weigh the most, because that's not true. It very much depends on what's in them or what they're made of. So let me have a little feel around. I have got some herbs, some cooking, and I have got some washing powder. So I can see straight away this washing powder is a lot heavier. If I was on those pound balances, it would be like this. So I know the washing powder is heavy. I'm going to put it in my heavy pile, and the cinnamon is light. I'm going to put that in my light pile. I'm just going to move a bit so you can see. Right, here is a big object. So usually you would guess, oh, that must weigh the most. But I'm going to pick up, I've got some coconut milk. So although it's smaller, I can see, this is kitchen roll. It feels a lot heavier, so I can feel very quickly that the coconut milk is heavier than the kitchen roll. So, heavy that side, kitchen roll goes in light. I have got, oh gosh, Scrabbles Dentastix, they are very heavy. And I have got some food colouring, light as a feather. So, light and heavy. Also, you can see on the package, if you want to check, on every packet it will tell you how much something weighs, so you can have a look at the numbers with Mummy and Daddy and see if you're right. Now, oh, this is heavy. I've got a big bag of rice, and I have got some baby wipes. We use a lot of these in this house. So baby wipes are very, very light, and I can feel my muscles straight away. It's like a workout. The rice is very heavy. So I'll put that on that side, and I put that on my light side. So your job today is to find some items around the house, sort them into two piles, heavy and light, and then send me some videos or send me some pictures and try and use that language. You could even try and put some sentences together that the Dentastix are heavier than the cinnamon. Or you could try and compare three of them. So I've got the Dentastix, I've got the rice, oh that's going to be a tough one, and I've got the kitchen roll. So you need to feel all three. I might want to move them around. I can feel the rice is the heaviest, then the Dentastix, and the lightest is the kitchen roll. Okay, so have a go, and I look forward to seeing your learning. Bye bye.